we're ranking every Fortnite live event from worst to best. Starting off with the original rocket event back in Chapter 1, Season 4. There was a countdown for like a few days before the event, and it was a little bit scuffed because it was in the real game and you could actually kill people. We thought it was actually going to destroy Tilted, but it didn't end up doing that. And finally, it ended with the giant rift in the sky, which played into the storyline in Season 5. So since it was the first event, I definitely think it's deserving of a B tier spot. Next, we had Kevin the Cube. Now, he spawned, he rolled around the map, and he sunk into Loot Lake. And for a few days, it was actually a bouncy lake, and that was so damn cool. So I'm going to put the Season 5 Cube in C tier. And then after that, in Season 6, we had the Cube Island moving around the map. Now, this actually resulted in the butterfly event in Season 6, when the Cube dropped all its energy, spun around, and then took us into some weird butterfly dimension. We were just floating around in this dimension for so long. And then we were teleported into the sky by a rift butterfly. And I'm going to put it just above the rocket in B tier. And then in Season 7, we had a really weird event. The Ice King broke out of his bubble, and then he covered the whole map with snow. And that's about it. It wasn't the best event of all time. So I'm going to put it in D tier. And then Fortnite's first concert happened with Marshmello. He had a big stage in Pleasant Park. Compared to the other two concerts, it's definitely not as good, but this was a really fun time in Fortnite. So I think it should also go in B tier. And then another huge storyline event happened with the Unvaulting event. We discovered a huge vault under Loot Lake, which actually opened up. We saw the 0 point for the first time, and ultimately, the drum gun was unvaulted. And after that, we were ejected from the vault. We flew up into the sky, and the volcano started to erupt. It has to go in A tier. And after months of building the giant mech in the volcano, it finally came to life when it had to defend the island against the monster. He rose from the water with Polar Peak on his back. He actually tried to break into the vault and get the 0 point, but the robot fought back against him and pushed him into the water. And this is what actually led to the black hole event. The 0 point was pulled out by the robot, and he also pulled that sword out of Tilted Towers and used it to defeat the monster. I'm gonna put it just under the Unvaulting event. And then we come to what might be the best event of all time, the end of Chapter 1. It all started with the rocket taking off. The rifts in the sky started to open up. I love the music in this event. It was so ominous. All the rockets began to come out of all the rifts. Eventually, the rockets actually brought down the meteor, and then we all looked up to the sky. The meteor began to come down, and then we just saw the rockets descend, and the meteor go straight into the 0 point, and the black hole began to form, and there we have it. I think that is the best event of all time. That has to go straight to the top of S tier. And then we came to Chapter 2. The first event was the Star Wars event. There was just like a stormtrooper speaking, and a few of the spaceships flew around for a little bit. So this is definitely one of the worst events of all time, probably bottom of D tier. But Epic Games definitely stepped up when they brought us the Travis Scott event. It happened across the entire Chapter 2 Fortnite map. Travis Scott was huge, and it was just one of the coolest events of all time. I'm going to put this at the top of A tier. And then we came to Chapter 2 Season 2. The device event started with giant pillars coming out of the water, and then the agency exploded with the giant device coming out of the middle. The device tried to push the storm back, and then we got teleported to Agent Jonesy's office for the first time, and then we got teleported back to the island, and there was a giant tsunami around the entire map. The tsunami had taken the place of the storm, and we actually got to play the rest of the match out. So this has got to go in S tier as well. After that, we had the Galactus event. He came in, he was absolutely huge. It was actually very scary to watch live. And then he tried taking the 0 point out of the center of the map. There was like 1,000 battle buses, and Galactus was in the distance. We got to fly the battle bus, and we got to try and defeat him. And he fell through the map into a giant rift. I'm going to put it in C tier. And after that, we had the Zero Crisis finale, which wasn't actually live, but we loaded into the new season, and we got to play this event. We basically had to shut down all the rifts with the 0 point gun that we were given. And then the Spire took over the 0 point. It was definitely really cool. I think it should go right in the middle in B tier. And then we had the final concert to date, the Ariana Grande Rift Tour. This concert was definitely on par with Travis Scott. We were teleported to a few different dimensions. I'm actually going to say it was better than the Travis Scott event, just above him in A tier. After that was Operation Skyfire. We started up in the mothership, and then we had to dodge the aliens trying to fight us. But that was okay because Kevin the Cube rose from the floor, and then we discovered that there's like 1,000 Kevin the Cubes, and then the mothership exploded. We saw everything go flying down towards the ground, and then eventually we got hit by a spaceship. I'm going to put it at the top of A tier. And then after that was the end of Chapter 2 event. The Cube Queen was in the middle of the map. She opened the sky up, and then we discovered there was more motherships. And this is when we found out that the Rock was actually in the game. We were under the water, and then one of the monsters started to break the glass, and we floated back up to the surface to see the map start to flip. Again, the music in this event was absolutely crazy. And then finally the map flipped over, and we actually got Chapter 3. Very cool event, bottom of S tier. And then the second last event was Collision. We started on the moon, we hopped in a giant robot, and then we had to fight back against the IO. We had to shoot tanks, and finally we took down the blimps and made our way to the Collider. The Collider was destroyed, and I'm pretty sure Salone actually died in this event. I think this was a pretty mid event for the time. I'm going to put it just above Marshmello. And then we had the final event to date, the end of Chapter 3. The giant Chrome Herald rose up. She took over the entire map, and it was eventually destroyed. And then we were just floating in space for a while. There was no Fortnite map at all. And then the 0 point began piecing the map back together again. Despite this being an interactive event, it was really slow-paced and boring. We kind of just sat on the map doing challenges for half an hour. The final cutscene of the Paradigm putting the map together, though, was really cool. I don't think Fracture was a really good event. I'm going to put it just at the top of C tier. But anyway, that's my final tier list. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.